Susan Thuku is our sign language interpreter. Our socials at KBC Channel 1, my Twitter handle at Tomboya24. Former Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha is dead. Magoha passed on this evening at the Nairobi Hospital at the age of 71. Magoha was appointed to cabinet by President Uhuru Kenyatta on the 26th of March 2019. We are now joined by our reporter Ben Troy Njue, who is at the Lee funeral home at the moment. Troy, what are you hearing now?
Good evening, Thomas Mboya. Good evening, Thomas Mboya. Good evening, Thomas Mboya, back in studio, and indeed good evening to our viewers back at home. And it's not quite a good evening for friends, family, relatives, and also scholars, and also Kenyans as well, in regards to the passing of former Education CS Professor George Magoha, who passed on this evening. Well, we have been here since earlier, a little bit past 6, when we received the news that the good professor had already passed on. But an account by one of his friends, who is a professor and a doctor, Walter Mwenda, talked about the good professor, called him at about 3 p.m. asking him to go and see him, and he wasn't feeling quite well, but he found the professor sitting on the couch, and they had a conversation, and he had some lead-ups. He collapsed, and they were able to resuscitate him, and he was able to also to be rushed to Nairobi Hospital, but unfortunately they tried 3-4 times to resuscitate him, and he died as he was being rushed here at the Nairobi Hospital. His body is lying right here at the Lee funeral home, and since we came here, we've seen his wife and also a couple of family, friends, and doctors as well. Well, the wife did leave a little bit earlier, about 7:30 there, but we were able to speak with Walter, who gave us an account of what transpired before the good professor died in the evening today, and he did confirm to us that yes, indeed, the professor had some medical issues that he was dealing with, but it will be quite a shock to Kenyans, because the professor was supposed to take up a role at one of the local universities after completing, of course, his tenure at the Ministry of Education, and it's just a few days since the KCSE examination was announced and the placement which he had really done for a couple of years. So he will be eulogized, and he has been eulogized as being fiery, and he will be remembered because of how his contribution to the education, medical, and also to the government as well, where he served as a cabinet CS. We had also earlier on the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Union members were here earlier on, and they eulogized the professor as quite somebody who had attention to detail in everything he did, and he never settled for second best. And they say it's quite a blow for the country and also for the medical and education sector as well, for what he has been able to do over the last couple of years. But it's also a big blow for the Magoha family. This is the reason. Professor George Magoha was very instrumental in preparing for his brother's burial, which is still scheduled for this Saturday, and he was very upbeat about all that, and the professor passed on this evening. And it's also a big blow to the one of the local universities that was expecting his services, where he was supposed to be a professor of surgery. And Kenya as a whole, looking at what he has been able to contribute in the education sector, and especially in the Kenya National Examination Council, these are some of the things that he will always be remembered for championing in this country. Well, also a few friends have popped in, and but as we speak, all the friends, family, relatives that have been able to stream in to view his body have left, and we have been promised promised presser maybe tomorrow after the family has done some consultation. That is what we have been able to gather here at the Lee Funeral Home. Back to you, Tom, and unless you have any question.
Well, many thanks indeed there, Ben Troinjiwe, coming to us live from the Lee Funeral Home, where the late Magoha's body is lying, even as they make plans going forward. A big blow, obviously, to the nation. The president also leading the country to eulogize the former cabinet secretary, Magoha, mourning Magoha as a towering giant and one who stood tall on matters education. The president saying that the country had indeed lost a gifted, unique, distinguished, and a great servant of the country. The president adding that he had been privileged to know Magoha and also to work together with the late professor in many capacities, right from the days in the university where the president completed his postgraduate studies, all the way to government, where he served with distinction as the chair of the NEC, and later on a colleague together with the president in the cabinet. Of course, Right Honorable Raila Odinga also eulogizing the late CS, the former CS, as a great man. Raila indicating that he was deeply saddened to learn about the passing of Professor George Magoha, referring to him as a transformational leader, an illustrious scholar, a dedicated public servant, and a distinguished medical doctor who left an indelible mark on our country's education system. Of course, he will be remembered for his great intellect, wit, ability to inspire and challenge colleagues to do their best.